Welcome back to the Viggen Red Flag campaign. It's mission number 6, and it's a daytime mission. We'll just do the usual trick of closing the canopy here and have a little look at what we've got lined up down to the right and probably across the field too. Yes. A10s. Interesting stuff. That's the first time we've seen them. And I've left my gamma up since the last mission. You'll notice it's very pale. Now, I had said that it was unplayable at this kind of gamma. It's actually not unplayable. I take that back. But it is very washed out. And I would normally prefer to have a little bit less than this during the daytime conditions. But it is flyable, so we'll stick with it for this mission. Looking at the weapon loadout, we've got our high drags, no low drags by the looks of it, no shoots on these. We've got the asymmetrical air-to-air gain, which I'm going to just fix up. And I'm going to stick with the default bomb load. I'm very much toying with changing this. In fact, no, I'm going to change this. I'm going to go with Mavericks. There's a reason for that, which we will discuss during the briefing coming up shortly. Now you'll notice that the sounds are not working in the cockpit, and that's because I had the canopy open and the external sounds were really loud, and they've actually, for some reason, stopped some of the internal sounds. They'll come back eventually. That alarm was not sounding, or as it normally would. We'll turn this down a bit. Okay, it's already fully down. Let's go up a bit.
Rearming complete.
We're now rearmed. Throw the cartridge in and request startup.
Dodge 1-1. Request startup. Dodge 1-1. Cleared for startup. Wind 185 at 7 meters per second.
Okay, good. We have got permission to start, which we'll be doing shortly. One thing I will do quickly is just check the F10 map and just have a look at what we've got. The A10s are getting airborne. It's me there. Off to the right, we have 15s, tornadoes, 16s, and more 15s. Across the other side today, the A10s already airborne, and then we have some 15s taxiing. So a pretty full lineup again. The first of the Eagles are now heading out, so we'll get our engine started. Wrong switch. Nothing appears to be happening. Okay, we now have engine. That was rather odd there. There's nothing showing at all, but it's finally decided to spool up after fiddling around with a few bits and pieces. Good, wait a few moments. There's the RAF. Still with the missing cockpit textures. Okay, computer's set, so we'll get the cartridge in. And a quick run through the waypoints. Waypoint 6 is the attack waypoint today. So, waypoint 6, just got to remember that. We'll need that later on. Alright, we should be armed with the Mavericks now, which we are. Plenty of other aircraft still making their way out. Don't really need the cockpit lighting. And I keep hitting the wrong. Don't think it's going to make much of a difference either. No, light enough without it. Put the ejection handle in. Oxygen on, and we are basically ready to go here. Automatic countermeasures, RNF set, countermeasures to the forward position. RB75 set on the weapons selector. Now we can request taxi because everybody else is gone.
Dodge 1-1. Request taxi to runway.
There go the tornadoes. Much easier for me to identify aircraft during the day. Oh, another Dodge formation's off. I'm going to request taxi one more time.
Dodge 1-1. Request taxi to runway. Dodge 1-1. Clear to taxi to runway 3.
Okay, so it seems that he won't respond until he released the brakes. I'm not sure if that was actually part of the deal or whether that was just a coincidence, but we have permission now, so I'm going to take it. Also going to set the pod to warming. And then we'll set to jamming later on. Right, these F-16s should be lining up. Yes, they are. Jolly good. So now I guess would be a good time to take a look at the briefing. Welcome to the briefing for mission number 6. As usual in recent missions, we skip all the yada 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 and we go to the critical sections. Namely, what are we attacking? And it looks like we're attacking this thing here, which is a series of tanks and containers in the middle of the desert. From the sky, you can see that it looks pretty tiny and everything is well spaced out. Briefing indicates that we should attack with bombs, which means in order to hit these 3, you're going to have to line up perfectly and get your bombs in a stick along that line. And in order to hit these, you're going to have to get a stick along there, and you're not going to be able to hit any of the other ones. It looks incredibly difficult, and I am tempted to completely ignore the weapon loadout and go with Mavericks, because I think from 7 or 8 kilometers away, I can use the collimated scope to pick out 1 or 2 individuals, get some weapons away, and then bugger off. Flight plan is here. This is the kind of fence in and egress from 3 to 4 to 5, and then there is something in here probably. We may want to consider adjusting the flight plan to our own needs at a later point. To be discussed. Push timing is also one of the other considerations, and as you can see, we are expecting to push at 0844, basically a little bit behind some and on time with some others. There are bomber flights coming in at, let's say, medium to high altitude, so that'll be interesting to see what they get up to. So we're going to line up and get our clearance, which should come as soon as I'm lined up nice and slow. Should happen automatically.
Unable to clear for takeoff.
It says unable, and then it should say clear for takeoff.
Dodge 1-1. You are cleared for takeoff.
Good. We'll just hold.
300 at QFE 28.21.
So we don't need the reference key. And away we go. If we're lucky, we'll even get some externals on the takeoff roll. I can keep this aeroplane straight. Gear up. Gear shows us up. Confirming the air brakes are in. And climbing for Bravo 1. Back to mill power. Wingman should be back behind me somewhere. Always takes them a bit longer to catch up. Turning to waypoint 2. Also, I'm engaging the auto throttle. Waypoint 2 is in this direction. I'm going to put the nose just slightly above level, and we'll make a very shallow climb with fuel consumption minimization as the goal for the outbound. That will do nicely. Here's some rain on the exterior of the aeroplane. It seems we're just flying through an isolated shower here. Bit of desert rain up at altitude. There's a few scattered clouds. So I guess it's believable that there's a bit of rain. Perhaps most of it evaporates before it hits the ground. At least we can imagine that. My wingman is in visual range now at my 4 o'clock position, or 3 o'clock. Into another little rain shower. So it looks like we've got a little bit of mixed weather up here, which is quite pleasant. We still have 130 kilometers to go to the hold area. Lights can come off now. No need for those any longer. Not until we return to base anyway. I will adjust my course slightly. Airspeed looks fine at 540. Fuel consumption's good. Low fuel pressure to the engine. Fuel flow rather. We should be able to stay airborne for quite some time. Okay, we're getting thunder audio being played now. Or is that just the sound of the rain on the canopy? It's quite loud. Yeah, that was just the sound of the rain on the canopy. Thank goodness that wasn't thunder. I guess raindrops hitting this at 560 kilometers per hour would be relatively noisy. I'm not sure how thick this canopy is, or whether it's made of glass or a sort of perspex material. I am completely unsure what that is made of. I imagine it's probably glass, some sort of thick safe glass. I'll just have a look at the tactical map because I'm getting quite a few little sort of loading stutters, so I'm just wondering whether a whole lot of scripts are kicking off. Let's just check the tactical map. We'll zoom out for this and section. There we go. It's a very interesting flight plan we have today to do this dog leg here, 4, 5, and then 6. I don't know why we're doing that specifically. The run-in needs to be basically from this angle here so that we can get right side of the target. Fuel drums, containers. So it's a bunch of static objects. You can see over here, altitude is just increasing nice and slow. I'm going to be well behind the main strike force, but that does not bother me because I'm always last to push anyway. And I don't really fancy flying around in circles over the hold area for hours on end. So, best not to get there too early. Fashionably late. So besides this dog leg that we just looked at before, basically got the same sort of flight plan as we've had every mission so far, which has been Irish, then the farms, then into the target. And the targets have seemed to be in this sort of desert pan, almost every time. So it's getting just a fraction repetitive. It's always a right turn and then back out to the north and out. I would actually quite like to be able to do an extraction basically on a 180 degree track straight back to the east to cut this northern section out. I think that would really help in terms of fuel savings so we can get back to Nellis. And now I've got rain and now I've got clear sky. That may be the last few drops just falling out of that little cumulus there, although they really do not look like rain clouds, these. They are rather unthreatening. And you can't actually see any rain falling out of them from distance. You only see the rain when you're directly underneath them and it's falling on top of you. It's just one of those things that still needs to be thought about a bit more and tweaked, I think. What I would love to see is if there was actually rain falling from a cloud, that from a long way off you could see a very, very, very ever so slightly opaque sort of greyish shape in the region where the rain was falling. Even if it was only just 1 or 2 shades darker than the sort of background. It's ever so slightly hazy underneath the clouds. just to indicate that there was rain falling in the distance. I can see aeroplanes. I have a pair going to the left up there. I got a pair going to the right over here. I got another one going left there and another two going right there. So we are entering the hold area, no doubt. My gauge tells me we have 50 kilometers to fly. My number 2 over there, he says nothing. He just sits there, silently looking ahead, pondering the dangers to come. Airspeed is being held very nicely. Fuel is fine at 110%. We still have the tanks attached. I will set QFE for the target at some point. Not that it's absolutely necessary with the Mavericks, but we're going to do it anyway. I think we've got time for some more external views, don't you? Take a screenshot of that one because it's pretty damn sexy. It's a mighty fine looking airplane, this. The actual shape looks very sort of 60s aerodynamics. Pretty sure this ended service in the 70s, but there's always people that know more about this sort of stuff than I do, so I'll let them copy and paste the Wikipedia information. And without being too much of a heretic, I find this aeroplane to be quite sort of F4-ish in many respects, with a bit of sort of A4. It's obviously a lot bigger than the A4, but sometimes I just get the feeling, if you get the angle right, just looks a little bit A4-ish. Without the big hump on the back, obviously. And it's a lot bigger than the A4, and this view looks nothing like the A4, but, you know, just one of those things. Dodge 2 is on station. Well, steady on Dodge 2. Okay, we're only 22 kilometers away, so it's not too bad. I don't need to get too excited. What's the tactical map showing us? Right. Well, now we know why we're doing this dog leg. Now, I'm going to go, I think, from waypoint 3 direct to waypoint 5. I don't see why I would fly to there and then fly all the way down here, exposing myself to this entire defensive row. That just seems like an idiotic move. Why don't I just come over this here? This airspace is not... Ah, that's the container though. So I basically want to get just past the farms. Once I get past the farms, then I'm going to turn onto... Let's just bring up the waypoint path. I'll get past the farms, then I'm going to turn to 5. I really don't want to be exposing myself to all this, especially because this is a flat pan here. There's no terrain between this flight path and all these defenses. So I'm going to go farms 5, staying in here, and then maybe going whoopity boop up there. Right, we're probably at the waypoint. We've got 6 kilometers to go. We're going to be using the collimated sighty triggery telescope binoculars device. Well, it's not binocular, is it? It's monocular. The monocular sight over here. That's going to be a bit of fun. Like I said, I did groan a bit when I saw that we were doing another bombing attack. We've hit Bravo 2. We are now being vectored to Bravo 3. Which for me is the signal to start turning around in circles. Which I'm going to do by pressing the turn me around in circles button. Now we'll get some tidy views. That's really hot looking. I'm going to screenshot the hell out of this, I think. All right. The first groups of fighters are right up on the fence line. That's the F-15s just sitting out there baring their teeth at the enemy. I think now's our chance to plug in the QFE for waypoint 6. Is it listed here? Negative. It is 850.8. So we're 2,900 meters above the target currently. And the target's up on some high ground-ish relative to what we're over here, I believe. So even flying level, we're going to get closer and closer to the target level. Get our countermeasures all ready, or our jammer pod rather ready. Countermeasures are ready. We still have the radar, the bing bing bing, turned to the off position. So tell me what your thoughts are with the gamma turned up this high. Is it too pale? The more I'm flying it though, the more I'm starting to think that this actually isn't too bad. It does feel... Okay, there's the push. Hold off. And we're going to go for waypoint 3, then we're going to go for the farms, and then we are going to turn for 5 and 6 at the farms. That's because we're being a cheeky bugger today. But I refuse to expose my airplane to all that SAM. I think that's suicidal. And SEAD didn't do a very good job. Or SEAD. Suppression of enemy air defences didn't do a good job on the last sortie, I don't think. So, mind you, we do have the tornadoes this time. We didn't have... Did we? Oh, I don't remember. It was Uzi, actually. Maybe we did. I'm making stuff up. Don't listen to me. Just get on with the mission. Number 2, where have you gone? AFK now off, and I'll push the throttle up to middle power. I think I may be able to see the other Dodge flight well ahead. So, once again, we are well behind schedule, well behind everybody else. I will check the tactical map in just a second just to confirm where we are in relation to all the other flights. I do see quite a lot of dots out ahead. And I don't see any dots with us back here. We may have to do some catch up, although cutting the corner from the farms is going to make up some time on this lot, so I needn't be too concerned. In fact, it may be a good thing that I'm a bit behind. Level there, check the tac map. Right, there are actually, and my wingman is with me, there are actually other flights still quite some way behind us, including what I believe are B-1Bs. What the hell? Where did you come from? Cool, blimey. That could be fun. Jolly good. I think I might see their contrail. There's a white dot way up there. Could be a star. Could be the tiny, 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 tiny moon. Oh, there's more stars. Okay, we've got day stars. My airspeed is 650. I'm going to pump the throttle a bit more. And drop down fraction. Closing up a bit on the other formations with 13 kilometers to 8.3. That is the Tornadoes, Uzi. So we're hoping that they will go and do their work against the SAM sites. It's going to be time for me to turn on the radar warning sound, I think, now. I'll turn the tone down just a little bit. I'm still grateful to Bunyip for pointing this dial out to me in the last or 2 flights ago. Okay, it's all still behind, so it can go off again. Waypoint is swinging. I do have eyes on the farms. What I'll do is I'll set waypoint 5, but I'm going to fly to the farms and then turn left. Hold off, descending now.
Passing Irish. Dodge 2, passing Irish.
Alright, the other Dodge formation is right with us. I don't need to slow down much. Although this dogleg is going to put them at a bit of a disadvantage in terms of time. So I wouldn't mind if they just skipped out in front of me.
Colt 1, passing Irish.
It looks like... Is that Tornadoes out in front? I believe it might be. That might be an A10. No, it doesn't look like an A10. Well, it's hard to tell at this range, especially when you're not used to identifying jet aircraft in the air.
Pontiac 1, passing Irish.
Right, dip down.
2, passing Irish.
They do appear to be circling around up ahead rather than flying in a straight line in. So I'm not quite sure whether they've got radar stuff they're picking up, where the SAMs are being released, but the SAM sites are basically on the other side of that small hilly range that you can see at 12 o'clock. We're going to put the autopilot on again just to hold me down here in this for a few seconds while I check the TAC map. Right, we've got B1s coming in, we've got more behind. Oh, they're the A10s. Tornadoes. They're the SEAD Tornadoes. These guys are the... Ah, okay, they're the Hogs, the A10s. Oh, okay. And they are going to turn right there, and we're going to turn left. So I'm hoping they'll drag everything. We're pretty much at the farms now. I don't want to go in to this box here. I want to go straight to 5. If I draw a line to 5 now, we should be okay. So we're good to go for 5 now. The Tornadoes are fenced in. I've got the A10s showing up here, flashing their external lights. We can slow right down now. My wingman seems to be climbing. I also want to see the other Dodge formation catching up. Okay, we'll turn for 5.
Dodge 2, passing the farms.
Dodge 2 is passing the farms. Good. Bravo 5 is 30 kilometers away. We're now getting almost too slow. So, time to speed up. That just gave the other formations, I'm hoping, about 200 kilometers an hour faster than me for about 30 seconds or so. My wingman's really struggling. Full afterburn for a few seconds here just to accelerate up. Just going to make sure I've got the collimated display on the right setting and that it's pointing just below the horizon.
Colt 1, that's it. Pontiac 1, that's it. Pontiac 2, that's in.
This is my last little bit of terrain masking, I think, as we move into the nasties. I think we'll use the terrain as much as we can here. I do see SAM sites launching way off to my right. I'm hoping I'm significantly far away from them for it not to be an issue. Get my wingman ready. Okay, it's saying E6 rather than M6. Oh well. I'm going to turn onto it anyway. And it shows 30 k's away. So now, we'll come up over this ridge and then I need to start finding the target. I'm going to turn the radar on. And it doesn't seem so interested in giving me anything. Nope. Okay, fine. Probably because I'm on...
Colt 2 running in on Viva.
Okay, let's start looking for the target in just a few seconds. It should be
Passing east of Viva.
20 kilometers ahead. I see it in the distance.
Here's your 1, attacking air defenses.
Brilliant. I've got eyes on the target already. I can drop down.
Colt 1 running in on Viva.
There it is there. Right there.
Notch 2, pulsing port side.
Okay.
C2, attacking air defenses.
I have a fix on the target for my Mavericks. As soon as I get within 7 kilometers, I'm going to launch. Two Mavericks away. Target hit. Sam's launching off to my left. Sounds like I've got chaff and flare releasing. I know waypoint 5 is a safe waypoint behind the hills, so I'm actually going to head for that. I'm not sure what that flash just was. That was like a nuclear explosion. Staying low. And down the other side. Should be well masked now. Waypoint 3. And I'm going to aim to the left of 3 because I want to go to the farms. Afterburn off. Alright, we got mission score. Result 100.
Dodge 2, bombs away. Off to the east. BC-1, SA-8 at South Air Base is down.
Just a bit nervous about entering the no-fly container, so I'm gonna
BC-1, SA-8 at North Air Base is down.
do this here, and then we're gonna pop up over this little range. And we should have eyes on the farm soon. Not entirely sure if those SAM sites that were in that first area between waypoints, I think 4 and 5, have been taken out, and I don't really want to check the map and take my eyes out of the cockpit, so I'm just going to assume that they've not been taken out and still fly with this evasive posture. There's the farms.
Dodge 2, advancing east.
Dodge 2's on their way out. There's the farms. We're in the clear. Quick check of the map. It's unclear what damage was done, but I definitely saw one of my weapons cause a bit of a splash. That could be a SAM behind me. Saw a black dot just diving down from the hill. Could be a SAM or an air-to-air weapon.
BC-1, SA-8 at North Air Base is down.
Oh, I'm not sure what I saw. The beeping and whatnot has certainly come to an end. So I'm going to presume I'm safe. Okay. Now this should be Mount Irish, or the next one's Mount Irish. And at that point, we can basically start our turn for home. I have about 50% fuel, which is fine. I know I can make it back to Nellis from here with 50% fuel. As we egress. A few beeps off to the left, but should be friendly. Waypoint 3 is just up ahead, at which point we can turn right down the Sally corridor. Turning back to the south. Dodge 2 fences out. Very, very good. You are not required anymore. Thank you for your service. We'll turn on to one. Almost a direct heading, I think. One 6-5. Looks like my wingman is no longer alive. Not sure if he was shot down by Sam or whether he crashed. He was flying quite high above me on the way in. And sometimes it seems like the AI will get in low, but other times it seems like they won't. And I'm not sure whether there's just some sort of randomness about that or whether it's deliberate, but can't get my wingman to consistently stay with me when I'm flying right down on the deck. Okay, let's hold here. Hold the autopilot, that is. And consult the tactical map for the flight home. So, having a look at where we're about. Yep, we're definitely wingman-less. And everybody else is on their way out. These are still showing as tanks. I know I hit something here. My other missile appeared to just sort of crash into the ground here. It looks like the other wingman did nothing either. So I'm not sure whether that means we failed. But I certainly got my weapons on target, which is one of the reasons I chose to use the Mavericks. I just think this target layout was more suitable for a Maverick attack. Radar will turn off now. So it seems you can't actually use the radar while you've got the Mavericks loaded up and armed.
Dodge 1-1. Request navigation assistance.
Okay, I was thinking I might get the QFE by calling in, but they're not going to give it to me. So let's get it from here. QFE at Nellis 955. That takes care of that. Turning on to the final waypoint now. Start turning external lights and things back on. .70 kilometers out from the apex. Plenty of time to have a look around. Consider what we've achieved today. Friends lost. Enemies gained. Some enemies lost. The cloud has moved away. Maybe that's been burnt off by the sun. Those clouds that were giving us a few problematics with the rain, they have decided that they've emptied their stores for the day, and they've either evaporated away themselves or moved on to cooler climes. Leaving us to bake in this cockpit over the parched expanse of the Nevada desert. What are these people up to down here? Golf course maybe? Marshy something else perhaps? Doesn't look like it's getting much use. Whatever is or was going on down there. Kind of looks golf course shaped. The various little dark patches which could be fairways and then ponds and whatnot, but I don't know what it's supposed to be, or whether it's even a thing. You can see the buildings and whatnot of the various industrial facilities near the apex and the old concrete cement factory. So we're not terribly far away now. Very much enjoy flying this airplane and using the Mavericks with the collimated foresight telescope monocule. I just find it to be a nice, potentially unique way of using this airplane. I'm not a huge fan of bombing. Obviously for things like ports and industrial units and airfield runways, bombing for me is obviously the most sensible weapon. But when I've got a bunch of sort of structures freestanding in the desert, especially if they're military structures or vehicles, I would much rather employ the Mavericks. In fact, if I had to go back and do mission 3 again, I think I would employ the Mavericks on that target as well. The rockets were I free fired them and I managed to get pretty close and cause some damage. But I'm not a massive fan of the radar weapons systems in the Viggen. Partly because it requires quite a lot of preparation and setup. And you have to basically expose yourself a lot and fly a pretty much perfect line. The Maverick's good because you can fire them at short range. You don't have to be right on top of the target. You don't have to fly a perfect approach. You can just fly in the general direction, and then if you're offset by 20 degrees or so, you can still fix the target with the collimated display. You don't have to be lined up on it perfectly like you do with the bombs or the rockets. So it's a pretty versatile weapon, and I would use it more in this campaign. Let's call in and get our
Dodge 1-1.
inbound notification. Turn the AFK on as well. I'll engage the reverse thruster for when we need it. Landing mode set on the master. Neither of the landing waypoints are set for Nellis, so we'll just ignore that completely. And we shall turn in just a few seconds. Autopilot off, turning right. Start lowering the landing gear. Long approach in. Oh, the glare when that switch comes on. Deploys the landing light, so it's quite handy. No longer need the pod. Just about lined up now. I may have overturned a fraction or underturned a fraction. No, seems okay. Airspeed's holding at 300 quite pleasantly. To 50 soon, I think, to 70. AFK is on, so we should be going to just raise the nose so it's pointing down, so my vector indicator is halfway down the strip. Crosswind again, it seems. Is there a windsock down there? Not that I can see. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, we've got a crosswind from the left. That's what it feels like too. Cocked off to the left. So flying into wind a little here. Just checking again. Gear is down. Reverse thruster is in the out position. Airspeed's maintaining at 270, which is lovely. Our vector indicator is now almost on the threshold. I'm going to just apply a little bit of right rudder just to start lining up a bit. Still cocked off to the left. We need to be cocked off to the left. 270, and getting everything all lined up in just a second. Engine's just starting to work a little bit harder. Bit of rudder and point down the runway. Nose down. Reverse thrust on full wackadoodle. Everything off. Disengage the reverse thrust. Taxi ourselves home. Taxi to parking area. Don't mind if I do. Who are we going to park next to today? This delicious monster over here? Or are we going to park behind these lovely beasts? Who knows? Sounds like Wags is back. Still alive? Must have survived that collision with the mountain in mission 2. Brakes on. Here I stand. Well, I'm actually very happy with that. I'm quite happy with the tactical decisions I made to alter from the flight plan, namely changing the weapon loadout. Managed to take out one of the structures at the target and get both of my Mavericks away in good time. I'm also very happy with the decision to avoid waypoint 4, I think it was, and to go straight across from the farms to waypoint 5. I think that was a nice little decision which helped shield me from some of those nasty, nasty SAMs. Get this little hang again. Did this last time I turned the engine off. It just hangs a bit. Not sure why it's doing that. Whoopsie, wrong position. Don't need your warnings. Don't need your warnings now either. Get that canopy open. Release the ejection lock. And here we are back at Nellis. Mission 6 complete. I enjoyed it. Did you?